few years ago, I made this broom for my daughter to use as part of her Halloween costume. I made it by taking apart a broom like this and affixing the broom corn to a willow stick I found in our backyard. And it looks pretty cool. So what I want to do in this video is try some spiral cutting techniques on the table saw, put some decoration into these round broom handles, and then take apart the broom corn again and reaffix it to the end of the broom to make it look more like an old-timey broom that you might be able to use for a Halloween costume. I actually bought two brooms and they're both the same style, and it's a little different from the original broom I bought several years ago. They now screw in with these standard threads. I'm not sure if that's going to hurt me or help me in this effort, but we'll see what happens.
This is the first time I've tried to spiral cut dowel rods. I got the idea from an old woodworking book. The book discusses making spiral cuts in the context of making threaded rods. But I don't want something as even and regular looking as that, so I'm going to experiment with different angles and different feed rates. The standard Shopsmith miter gauge has a screw in the middle of the miter bar, which lets you expand and lock down the miter gauge in the slot. That feature turns out to be very helpful for this technique. I find that freehanding the spiral cut with the miter gauge is not enough support, so I add a fence and a block to keep things under more control. I'm also going to try doing the spiral from the other side of the saw blade to see if it gives me a different pattern. This setup feels more controllable and a lot safer. I've got all the spirals I need cut into this broom handle. So I do a little sanding in preparation of the next step. I start out with some cherry red Rit Dye. I'm going to actually apply several layers of color here to give a lot of depth and character to this piece. After several coats, I've got a fairly deep red going on here. So now I'm going to add a layer of green on top of that. I make the green by mixing indigo and golden yellow. I'm really happy with how the color turned out. I think the layering effect really adds a lot of depth and character. With my test broom handle complete, I move on to cutting the other two broom handles. This time I'm not going to be so aggressive. I'm going to try to experiment with some more regular spirals and some lighter cross hatching as well. I alternate between pushing very aggressive and not so aggressive so that I get different lengths of spiral up and down the handle. Also, I finally figure out that if I want the spirals to run in the other direction, all I have to do is spin the rod in the other direction. On a second pass with different feed rates, I get sort of an interference pattern in the spiral, which I think looks pretty neat. And again, I cut another interference pattern with a different feed rate and depth of cut to get some really interesting cross hatching going on. So with those two broom handles cut, I go ahead and color them the same way that I showed you I dyed the first broom handle. But this time I make one purple and one green. Now I want to move on to showing you how I disassemble the broom corn and reattach it. The first step is to remove the black lashing. I just use a combination of cutting it at certain spots and pulling it out. Next, I remove the outer layer of broom corn by unwinding the outer layer of wire. This reveals the inner structure of the broom. Then I take a portion of the broom corn and fold it back up and over the red fitting. This adds to the decorative style of this broom that I'm making, but it also hides that red fitting. Once I get enough strands of broom corn folded back up, I go ahead and start rewrapping the wire to secure it in place. Now I just need to wrap the end of that wire around the original knob that came on that red fitting. Now I'm going to take some twine and wrap it around the broom corn to give it back that broom shape. The family gave me quite a few compliments on that purple color. They really liked it. On the second broom, I think I got things figured out a little better. I used one of these angled screwdriver picks to pull out the threads. It was a lot easier. So again, I fold a portion of the broom corn up and over the top. I then wrap it up. Since I have that extra broom handle that I experimented with on the first try, and I have the extra broom corn from the outer layer of the two brooms, I'm going to go ahead and make a third costume broom here. And here are all the brooms complete. The original one from several years ago is on the left, and my three new brooms are on the right. Here's another look at the three brooms I made for this video. I wasn't quite happy with the linen lashing on the first broom I showed, So I recycled the black nylon lashing for the second broom, and I liked it a lot better, so I decided to redo the first broom as well. Thanks for sticking with me to the end of the video, and I hope you liked it. Bye!